It was a special day for our city and for our team and for us as players. For many of us, it was our first time playing outside in a Winter Classic, and it was everything we hoping for. The weather stayed great for us.
941, Big 550 KTRS. The man was everywhere this weekend. Andy Strickland, Fox Sports Midwest, KTRS, and a little bit of airtime with Frank, the new sports director on Channel 5, Frank Cusimano, yeah.
You ever heard of him?
Breaking news here that you broke with Frank Cusimano. Uh-huh. They had pizza in between the first and the second period?
Well, between the first and the second, they had pizza.
Yes.
Which is...
What type of pizza?
Probably cheese. I mean, they're not eating like meat lovers.
I mean, was it Imo's? Was it
No.
Domino's? Was it
know.
Racanelli's?
I don't know. And then they had chicken stock.
No, hold on a second.
Between the second and the third.
Do you know and you don't want to say, or
No,
you don't know? Okay.
I don't know.
So you half reported.
Yes.
You got it half right. You got half the story.
Well, I don't know exactly where it came from. Who knows? Let's just say it's Vito's, you know?
Right.
Vito's down by SLU. Where they've got that Mama Sugo sauce, by the way. They make their own sauce. It's
I like
incredible.
Vigo's. Vigo's is good. All right.
Yeah,
so and then they had chicken stock in between the second and the third period to warm up their bellies.
Correct.
Yeah.
And to give them fuel. You know, so pizza, in case you didn't know, is, this is something that players eat all the time, not always between like the first and second period.
But humans eat it all the time, too.
Well, humans eat it all the time too. But if you have like a long extended game that goes into, overtime, especially in the playoffs, they will often eat pizza between periods.
Because it's a quick carb thing?
Quick carb gives you energy. Yeah, so pizza's not that bad for you, you know? We've always said it's a good source of you get your cheese in there.
Another thing I had. So you also said that they changed sweaters to try and stay dry in between the periods.
Correct. Every period they change their jersey. I like how you call it sweater, man. You're old school. I love that.
That's right.
They changed their sweater each period. Now a lot of that had to do with the fact that these jerseys get auctioned off. And so they raise money, but obviously with the conditions yesterday, with it raining, I think it made sense to do that.
Now
anyway.
you also said they changed their gloves.
Yeah.
Now aren't the gloves broken in, and isn't it kind of hard to play with a new glove?
You know, it's a good question, McGraw. These gloves nowadays, they essentially come broken in. I mean, they're amazing. I mean, it used to be back in the day. You get a new pair of gloves, you didn't want to use them until you played with them in practice, maybe for a couple weeks or whatever.
Right.
Because you want to be able to break them in. Baseball gloves, I'm sure, are similar nowadays too. Remember, you used to kind of have to put oil on them and
sleep on them,
tie them up, whatever.
Put an ace bandage around them.
Yeah, exactly. So the way they make this equipment nowadays, they're so advanced, they break in very, very quick. But a lot of times, even during the course of the regular season, in a normal circumstance, players change gloves all the time. They want to make sure those gloves stay dry. I mean, these guys have it made, man. They have whatever they need.
Now, you must have been in your glory. Being a hockey fan, you are. This must have been, I can only imagine how special this was for you.
It was so much fun. Friday, or I should say Saturday. Well, first, let's go back to Friday, because on Fox Sports Midwest, all the alumni that were there, I know the Blues lost the game to Nashville, but, on television, we had, I interviewed Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
Dallas Drake was there, who was a captain, and just a great, great guy who played here in St. Louis. Jeff Brown, who's one of my, favorite people to come through St. Louis. His son Logan was drafted in the first round last year. Chris Pronger. We had all these guys on during the game on Friday. Then Saturday, I did all the interviews at ice level in-house at Busch Stadium. So at Busch Stadium, during all the television timeouts and even during the game, we interviewed Gretzky, Hall & Oates, the Cavallini brothers, Bernie Federko, Pierre Turgeon, Brian Sutter, Red Berenson. The list goes on and on. All these interviews we did inside Busch Stadium. And to be able to watch that game at ice level was truly something I'll never forget.
Yeah, a sold-out alumni game. How about when Keith Tkachuk put on Pavel Dimitra's jersey?
Yeah, and we interviewed him too as well. And I was with Tkachuk a little bit last night after the game. That meant so much to him to be able to do that. These guys were so close, McGraw. I mean, we all know, anybody who's played sports realizes the bond that you have with your teammates. But to have a situation like that occur where, he passes away tragically in a plane crash while playing professional hockey over in Russia it hit Keith Tkachuk and a number of other former players very, very hard. To see him pay tribute to Pavel Dimitra in that fashion, because let's face it, Pavel Dimitra, I think he's fifth all-time in the history of the Blues in scoring. He had a great career here.
Right.
I mean, a great career. He would have been playing in that game. And to essentially have him play in the game, even though he's not here, was really, really cool.
I'll tell you,
shows you a lot about who Keith Tkachuk is.
No,
as well.
it's we first of all, Hockey Sense. When is that? Is that?
I believe it's tomorrow.
All right,
I'm being told it might be tonight.
You're the host, so it's good to know that.
Yeah.
When you find out, I want you to tell the rest of us.
Yeah, it's tonight.
Okay. And by the way, thank you for your globe box. I got a lovely soiled jockstrap out of the
you
whole
got
deal.
that.
Yeah, it
Good,
was really
good,
very nice
good,
of you. Thank you
good.
very much.
Soiled,
I appreciate that.
you said.
Well,
let's hope it wasn't.
I spilled coffee on it in the car, I think.
Is that what it was? Coffee?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
All
Right.
I want to make sure it was coffee. But as a, I know enough about hockey to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never more proud of St. Louis than I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The stadium looked fantastic. The people who came in from the NHL, it was almost like you heard them say, "Wow, we had no idea."
Right. It's like they knew, but they didn't know. You know, I mean, St. Louis has had an NHL team since 1967.
Right.
And you talk about all these kids that were drafted in the first round last June, and so that's kind of been made a big story. But this goes on way beyond that, you know, and way before that, I should say. Talking to so many people who were here, though, with the NHL, just being down there, or the NHL Network who came in town, they really couldn't believe it. This could not have been scripted any better for the Blues. You know, the alumni, all the players who were there, Wayne Gretzky's playing, and they win that game. Although nobody really cares, but obviously it's a better if you find a way to win, and then to beat the Chicago Blackhawks. You know, it's one thing to host this event, McGraw, but in a way, the Blues almost needed to win. You know, to truly be able to build off of this event.
Yeah, I think the winning was. I mean, it was a game. You got to win the game. It's whatever. But it was everything about it.
No, but let me just finish though. But it's the fact that they come into the third period and it's Vladimir Tarasenko, your best player, one of the brightest young stars in the league, who kind of catapults you to victory, and so you win the game. I mean, you talk about a celebration. It felt like the Cardinals won the World Series inside Busch Stadium just because of the way people were reacting. It was incredible.
I hope the NHL realizes that imagine how many people would watch if they put the games on when people can actually watch them. Like for the playoff games and stuff.
You're still on that topic.
Oh, I'm never off it.
I thought we'd have one conversation and not get into the start.
Hey, the Blues are in the finals. Their game starts at 10:30.
I don't know if that would happen in the finals, but yeah, you're right.
Tom Stillman. I kept thinking about this too. Is that Tom Stillman, who's kind of a shy guy, sits out there, shakes the hands of the people coming in, sits with fans. How you doing? Everything going well? Right? Here's a man who has embraced being the owner. And St. Louis loves him back, whereas Stan Kroenke was the exact opposite. Yeah. Right?
Well, I don't think it's fair to compare anybody to Stan Kroenke in reality.
Well, but I mean,
nobody's as bad as him.
Right,
you know?
but I mean, he's leaving town telling everybody how bad St. Louis is.
Correct.
And Tom Stillman took a franchise that was, had a couple of bad years.
Correct.
And has really, breathed a whole lot of life into that franchise.
I don't think people realize what he inherited, to be honest with you, because the team was still pretty competitive. At the time, when you look at the players they had on the roster, but he had a lot of issues and a lot of messes that he had to clean up that he basically took on when he bought that team. It's one of the best kept secrets, in terms of what the previous ownership had done to this franchise and what he had to try to do to build it up. Chris Zimmerman's been a huge part of that.
The last two owners,
who's the president,
the last two owners
of the Blues on the business side, in terms of what they've been able to do to kind of get it to where it is right now, to be able to get the league to agree to allow St. Louis to host this event. That is not easy to do. It's hard to get the Winter Classic. It's not easy at all to be able to do that. But I saw him on my way out last night. He was he could not have been happier.
Sure.
And to see the way that it played out, and it's not just him, but it's the entire organization. I mean, these guys from a PR, marketing, community relations, these guys worked around the clock, McGraw, the last several weeks to put on that production last night.
And so much was made of the weather. I thought the weather was perfect for the game.
You know what? I couldn't disagree more or agree more. The I know it was like a light mist and whatever, but it's amazing how well they predicted the weather, because we're doing this post-game show immediately after the game, and of course right when we do the post-game show it starts pouring down rain on us. But during the course of the game it was just a light mist. I was down there at ice level, and you could barely even feel it. So that was, to be honest with you, a non-issue for the players. I really believed when we found out yesterday at 7 o'clock in the morning, the game's going to start at noon. Maybe they just want everyone coming downtown so they can take in the Nelly concert, spend some money.
The world's largest cocktail party.
And they're still going to push it back. But, the guy who was here from the Weather Channel, the famous weather guy, Cantori, whatever.
Yeah.
I talked to him for a little while, too. He really said, hey, listen, the perfect pocket and window to play this game is going to be from about 12 o'clock till 3 o'clock, and he was spot on.
Yeah, and Frank Cusimano broke Busch Stadium rule. No umbrellas.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, outrageous.
Yeah, you got to. Wayne Gretzky did that, too.
He becomes he becomes sports director, and all of a sudden he's full of himself. All right, Andy Strickland, Hockey Sense. We still don't know when it is.
I believe it's tonight, so tune in tonight. We'll
tune in tonight.
have a lot to get into and recap what took place this past weekend.
A whole lot of fun. 7 to 9?
Let's go 8 to 9. How about that?
8 to 9,
Yeah.
Obie Clarks.
Yeah.
Heard exclusively on the Big 550 KTRS.
You got it. Thanks, McGraw.
Good work, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. That's where you want to buy your